Good morning, our future leader. Today, I will give the presentation about writing a good technical report or paper. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Risal Rahman. You can call me Ichal. I'm currently working for Pertamina Hulu Mahakam as Head of Well Intervention Engineering Services. I am apparently your senior from class 2002. A little bit of my professional career. I'm starting the oil and gas industry back in 2007 as a coal shipping field engineer with Schlumberger. And after that, I joined Total EP Indonesia in 2011 as a well intervention engineer, and then joining Pertamina Hulu Mahakam in 2018, until now with my current position. Short story about me, I'm an active speaker in national and international forum with over 50 technical publications, a social activist, a happy traveler, freelance journalist, and also an entrepreneur. If you have any question later on, do not hesitate to contact me on social media. Please find my LinkedIn account and also the Instagram account. Without further ado, let's start the presentation. Let's begin with why we need to write a good technical report. As a student and as a professional, writing technical papers or reports will help you share your knowledge with others. Even the best work is useless if you can effectively communicate it to the rest of the world. It will also benefit the institute, the company, and your career later on. However, as a student and soon to be engineer, writing may not be your specialty. But don't worry, after this, you will have the information you need to write a good technical paper. First, let's examine what makes a paper good. First, you need a concise title, a standard outline, a coherent writing style, useful data and results, and references to solid work. Although you'll be referencing prior work, be sure to present new technology in your information as well. Innovation is the key in having a conference program committee or journal review committee to shape your paper. Another key to invite people to look at your writing or increasing your paper chances to get approved if you're submitting a paper for a presentation at a conference is your abstract. The abstract is a concise summary of a paper topic. It should be around 350 words and should explain what makes your paper unique. Include significant new information and state your conclusions. Be factual but comprehensive. Remember, you only have one change to impress the reader, so catch their attention with your abstract. A good paper starts with a good plan. First, relate the paper to the scope of the meeting or journal and present useful information. Second, explain some type of methodology in your paper. Third, ensure the information that you provide is technically sound. And the last one, use solid evidence to support your conclusions. Now let's discuss do's and don'ts of writing a good technical paper. Do. Organize your thoughts. Compose simple sentences. Use common language. Industry terminology is fine, but still away from company lingo. Proofread, proofread, and proofread some more. Make sure your story is technically sound and clearly show the contribution your paper will make. Don't include the followings. Make grammar or spelling errors. including commercial or sales pitches. You should keep a few things in mind when planning your paper. Here we go. Be sure to organize your thoughts so they flow in a coherent way. Review lists of resources and deadline. Ensure you follow the manuscript template if any. And also survey the existing literature. And remember the ABCs. Attraction, which includes your title, abstract, conclusion, heading, and graphics. Balance between technical content and writing quality. And finally, content. Include the perfect amount of detail, which includes sufficient explanation of your method and practical application to your situation. Continue planning your paper by asking yourself 5 questions. First, what lesson have you learned? Second, what should the reader understand from your work? Third, how does your work differ from similar papers? Fourth, what useful information did you derive from the literature survey? And the last one, who is your target audience? When planning and writing your paper, be sure to identify your target audience and write for them. Basic audience needs include knowing the problem or the reason you conduct the project, the solution or what you've contributed to industry knowledge, and the value, why the audience should listen to you. For example, will they make a profit from your idea or save money because of it? A basic manuscript outline is another important part of planning your paper. In your outline, you need to lay the groundwork for your title, abstract, introduction, theory and definitions, equipment and or processes, data and results, conclusions, acknowledgements, and references. The title is the first part of your paper that people see, so make it good. You should focus the reader attention on paper content. The title is also necessary for archive sources, and it should be succinct, not too short or fake, but also not too wordy. These are some examples of good and bad titles. In the abstract, state the paper objectives and scope. Describe the methods you use. Summarize your results and state your principal conclusions. Do not use your proposal abstract. Instead, write something new that better reflects your full-length paper. In the introduction, describe your contribution. Clearly present the nature and scope of the problem investigated. Review the pertinent literature and state your method of investigation and justification. The introduction is crucially important. By the time a committee has finished the introduction, they've probably made an initial decision about whether to accept or reject the paper. They will read the rest of the paper, looking for evidence to support their decisions. Meanwhile, for a casual reader, will continue on if the introduction captivated them, and will set the paper aside otherwise. Again, the introduction is crucially important. Here is the Stanford InfoLabs patent 5-point structure for introductions. First, what is the problem? Second, why is it interesting and important? 3. Why is it hard? 4. Why hasn't it been solved before? And last one. What are the key components of my approach and results? The materials and method sections are necessary for both theoretical and experimental study papers. In theoretical papers, the section should include the hypothesis, assumptions, theoretical developments, and arguments to demonstrate applicability. In experimental or case study papers, this should include the purpose of experiments or case study, description of apparatus or equipment procedures, explanation of the data and observations, and inferences based on the data presented. The core of your paper will be the results section. Please find two useful guidelines here. First, a clear new important technical contribution should have been articulated by the time the reader finishes the section. Guideline number 2. Every section of the paper should tell a story. Use representative data, but avoid using redundancies and too many tables and figures. As for tables and figures themselves, do not tabulate supplementary data, lab numbers, result of simple calculations, columns showing no significant variation or unrelated data. The grouping of data should be logical. Do not turn any of the described data into figures. Instead, graph data that show trends. Conclusions. In general, a short summarizing paragraph will do, and under no circumstances should be the paragraph simply repeat material from the abstract or introduction. And for the future work, this material is very important. It's part of the value of a paper is showing how the work starts new innovation or research directions. And for the acknowledgements, don't forget them, or you'll have people with hurt feelings. Acknowledge anyone who contributed in any way, feedback on drafts, throughout discussions, implementation, and many more. If you have in doubt about whether to include some or not, include them. Appendices. Appendices should contain detailed proofs and algorithms only. It can be very crucial for overline papers but are still very useful otherwise. Think of appendices as a random access, substantiation of underlying gory details. Now you're finally ready to start writing your paper. You might think you should begin at the beginning, but in fact, you need to start with the conclusion. Focus on what you've learned. It's easier to work back from the known and build the paper accordingly. Describe how you got the result, the process, and the methodology that you use, and present the theory that explains the process. Remember to write simple sentences. Use common terminology, and avoid directly promoting your company or institute or using in-house jargon. Once you finish your first draft, you need to carefully evaluate what you've written. Ask a college who did not work on the project to read it. Then ask a college who did work on the project to read it also. Consider any feedback they might have on how you will improve your paper. Fill in any remaining sections, except for the abstract. You write that once you sure the paper is complete. After every section is complete, The editing process begins. Edit your paper several times. Any writer will tell you that the first draft is nowhere near the last. Edit for clarity. Remove any run on sentences and spelling errors. Cut extra nose information and stick to the main topic. Ask the other people to read your paper for clarity. If English is not your first language, ask a native or fluent English speaker to read your paper and make suggestions. Always run a spelling checker on your final paper, no excuses. Or use a fee based service to help improve the quality of your writing in English. Ensure there are balance in clarity and technical content of your paper. As you finalizing your paper, consider these tips from writing experts. Support your arguments with references. Always keep your audience in mind. Read your paper aloud to yourself to make sure it sounds smooth and consistent. Constantly ask yourself if you can improve your paper's readability. Now that we've covered the basic of writing a good technical paper, what are you waiting for? Go out there and start writing. Good luck and thank you.